Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel for everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a end of the month ranking. Today is April 30th, well by the time I'm filming this, it's April 25th. But by the time you're watching this, it's April 30th. So today we're going to rank all 13 retro movies of April 2022 from the worst to the best. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I wanted to make a little bit of an announcement, but I wasn't really planning on telling anyone this, but if you go to my watch list, right, if you go to my diary right now and go back to April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd, yeah, I didn't exactly, some of those movies I did watch that day, but movies like Sonic the Hedgehog, Joker, yeah, I actually didn't watch that day. I just put it there, and I actually watched those movies in March, but I just put it there so that way I won't have to restart it, because I already finished the video for the end of the month for March and stuff, so I decided to put it in there, but it is a part of the March schedule. But anyway, getting back on to talking about the real treatment, so because I didn't have much time on my hands, I decided, why not try and watch some 2022 movies that I have missed. And this was one of those movies that came out back in January. It was on Netflix. And it looked pretty interesting because it starred the guy that played Aladdin in the remake of Aladdin from 2019. And this movie's not good at all. The performances are not that great. It feels just like Aladdin, but like not, except without the adventure vibe and the genie. The whole thing just is awkward at times. You don't really like any of the actors. You're not laughing. And the story itself is just... oh, it's just, I don't want to talk about this. It's just, it's not good. Now, I actually watched this movie like last week on Easter weekend, because I saw that it was on HBO Max, and I was like, I actually remember liking the Purge movies back in the day when I watched them to prepare for that one, which I never ended up watching in theaters. And I have to say, and I was actually kind of excited for this film, and honestly, everybody kept saying it was awful, and they're not wrong. It is a pretty bad movie. The characters and the story is just so weird, like, the Purge is over. Nah, this is the Forever Purge. You keep saying that, and while there is some cool action, you just keep saying that, so, like, there's no point in watching the movie, like, if you're not going to make anything grand and stuff. But overall, it was kind of enjoyable, I guess. Now, I have to say this. As much as I loved the Harry Potter films, because I actually do like the Harry Potter movies. I know that I haven't talked much about the other ones, but it is a good series. And the fact that I never really got into the Fantastic Beasts films, I don't really know why. But I just never could get into them. They're just not my kind of movies. Like, the story just doesn't, it's just so weird. The characters, I never really connected to. Well, the cast is great. The special effects are pretty good, but like, there's just nothing memorable about any of these movies. So, I have to put it at number 11. And honestly, I have the same opinions on the first film, where I'm just not as interested into it. Granted, there are some cool times where, I guess you could say the best thing about this film is that you actually kind of get to explore some of the creatures, some more creatures, and you do get some creatures attacking humans or muggles or something like that. So it's fun with that. but overall, it's not my favorite movie. Alright, so this is where the list gets a little bit better. And I thought Good Friday was a pretty good choice for Good Friday of 2022. And, it had this story about this case that people thought they were, doing something bad. And it was kind of curable. I guess the only thing that kind of brings it down a little bit is that there's better movies on this list. And it doesn't really focus on Good Friday at all. So it makes me kind of a little bit disappointed with that, but overall, a pretty good film. Okay, so, this is another one of those movies that I watched from 2021, this is actually the last movie I've seen from April, and I actually enjoyed it in a good bit. Of course, the cast, because I heard a lot of great things about it. I heard that it was an Oscar nomination. And, granted, it's not technically an Oscar. I don't think it deserves an Oscar. I think it's pretty much for fan favorites, because I think there would be some specific people out there that would enjoy this movie. First off, the cast is just great with Jennifer Lawrence, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ariana Grande, Jonah Hill. The cast is just fantastic. And then there are some funny bits with some of the cast. I think this is probably Leonardo DiCaprio's best acting. Especially in that scene whenever he's like screaming. It's I like it when he does that, but like it's also funny at the same time. And also I didn't actually know it was a disaster movie, because they like use all these jokes and stuff, and then it like the world ends at the end. I'm like, you just treat it like if you're gonna do a disaster movie, you should probably treat it like it is something very terrible. And I think that was a little bit difficult, but overall, I actually enjoyed this movie, though I don't know about anyone else, though. So for me, this was actually a 2022 movie that I actually watched on the day it came out, but the new release video already came out, so it was too late. And I have to say, this was actually a pretty good, fun time. These two characters have great chemistry between one another. I think that, the way they actually create a love story together is fun. There's a lot of cool references to like futuristic type stuff, and the visuals, I guess you could say, are pretty cool. And there are some nice humor bits here and there, but it's not my favorite movie of all of them. It's fine, it's good, but it's not my favorite. So for me, this was actually a pretty good Easter movie, that it focused on Easter, as these two guys are Easter bunnies. The chemistry between them two are absolutely really good. They can be very funny at times, and not only them are funny, but also the other characters are very funny. And so overall, it was just a very enjoyable movie, and a pretty good raunchy comedy that somehow fits into the Easter genre. Now, technically, when I watched this movie, I technically knew everything going into it. Like, I've seen mostly all the scenes, but there were some scenes that I actually did not see yet. And I have to say, even though I did watch most of the scenes, I actually still really enjoyed this movie. And for first off, Sonic the Hedgehog is just a likable character. I know he's technically annoying, but it's like, that's the best part about it. He's funny. He's annoyingly funny. And even though I've known some of the jokes from this movie, I still laugh, and I still think they're very funny. I still laugh at most of the jokes because they're just so hilarious. And like, his chemistry with James Marsden is great. Jim Carrey's performance in the film is really good, and then some of the action sequences and the way they do slow-mo is really cool. And so I think that it's just an overall fun movie. Now, this is a movie that, another one of those 2021 movies I saw back, last week. And I have to say, this is a really good movie, and I understand why Jessica Chastain won Best Picture for it, as her chemistry with Andrew Garfield is great. And actually, this is the first non-Andrew Garfield starring a Spider-Man film that I've actually ever seen. And, Andrew Garfield in this movie, he works as well as Jim Baker. Like, all the lines that they're saying, all the chemistry that they have together is great. Even in all the rest of the cast is really great too. You got Vincent D'Onofrio, who before he played Kingpin in Hawkeye. 3 months before, no, actually 2 months before. Actually 3 months before, because he appeared in the last episode, which was in December. The story was pretty good. It was also really emotional, and it was just overall a really good movie. So this is actually another movie that I saw from 2022 that I missed, because I was devastated that I could not go see The Batman in theaters. And I finally saw it on HBO Max last Monday, and I have to say, it was exactly what I wanted. Exactly what everybody was talking about. First off, let's just talk about the cast for a second. Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne in Batman, he absolutely works as this character. And they worked him, and when he's Batman, he's intense as this true guy that's a threat. And I love that. Along the same lines, I think Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman worked. And I think I might care for her more than Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, though her Catwoman is still great. Colin Farrell as Penguin, the makeup for him is amazing, but the character itself, the performance, is all great. And then Paul Dano as the Riddler. If you're expecting Jim Carrey's Riddler from Batman Forever, you're not getting that. You're getting a whole different character you're basically getting a serial killer for your Riddler. And then likewise, the music in here, who did Michael Giacchino, who did the music for The Incredibles, as well as the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. So all of that was great to me. And just overall, the movie itself was just a great movie. There are some problems though. First off, the way that the story is told, I feel like it could have been told in a pretty much better way, but this is the way that they decided to tell it. And also, some of the characters don't really have specific character arcs. Like, it's not, like, established. I guess you could say the relationship between Batman and Catwoman is a pretty cool character arc, because they gone through so much. And then also, I think the last thing you gotta talk about is that the action isn't really the best thing. Like, it's pretty much like all Batman films where the action is just good. All the action in this movie is really good, but it's not like a standout action sequence like the warehouse sequence in Batman vs. Superman. But overall, a really good movie. Also, something in the way. Now, this was a movie that I heard great things about. When I heard that Andrew Garfield was being in a movie with Vanessa Hudgens and he was singing, I'm like, that sounds awesome. Because I remember seeing him as Spider-Man. I remember hearing about him in a movie called Hacksaw Ridge. So the fact that he's doing all these other movies just excites me. Granted, Tick Tick Boom isn't technically a movie starring with Vanessa Hudgens. It's not like they're partners, but he does star in the movie with her. But overall, other than that, the movie is just so great. You can tell that Andrew Garfield can sing. The songs are very, very singable, especially the therapy song, as you have Vanessa Hudgens and Andrew Garfield singing it. And then once again, it continues what Andrew Garfield does best, where he can tell a story through emotion and through acting, and I love that. And it's like with all of his acting stuff, you can tell of how he feels. You can tell this. You can do the story through emotion, and I love that. And overall, it's like he wants to do the stuff he loves, but he cares about the people at the same time. And it's just like, it's so clever in the way it's done. So I just love Tick Tick Boom. Now you're probably wondering, why was I watching Joker this weekend? I guess because when the Batman was coming out and I was watching all these Batman movies, I started to get a bit of a Joker vibe, so I decided to finally watch Joker. I watched it when I was on vacation in Disney World in March, and I have to say, this was a spectacular comic book film that is nothing like the rest of these other movies. First off, Joaquin Phoenix's performance is just so great. Everything about him, like, this is probably one of his most perfect movies. He's better in this movie than he was in Brother Bear as Kenai. And even in that film, I liked him. This is his greatest performance, and he fits as the Joker. I think this is the film that has the best Joker. I think this is the Joker that has the best Joker laugh. The performance from him, the way that he's dancing, the way that, like, he becomes crazy, he becomes the hero because he's crazy. All of that works. And it's like, you feel it. I love the music for it. The whole, I don't know how else to describe the movie. The performance of Joaquin Phoenix is just amazing. I just don't, and also like the song choices, when he kills people, it's great. Almost reminds you of a slasher film. So overall, I just loved the Joker, and that's why it's my favorite movie of April, of retro films, April 2022, and that's why it comes in at number 1. So that's my ranking. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the About section over there, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.